Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, where we'll explore adventure, spirituality, and empowerment through the outdoors and beyond. Join me, Carla Amador, as we focus on topics around the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also hear inspiring stories, get educated, and more. Let's get started. Are you ready to take a life-changing journey? Join me for a hike per week or 52 hikes within a year at 52hikechallenge.com. Gain the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also gain access to community, education, resources, and more. Plus, get 10% off on your sign up and first order with code RISE25. That's RISE25. See you on the trails. Hey friends, getting outside and hiking changed my life back in 2014. Now I want to share an even bigger adventure with you all. This October 2026, I will be leading a small group to Nepal to trek the iconic Annapurna circuit. Join me on a powerful journey through the Himalayas that challenges your body, expands your mind, and connects you deeply with nature and each other. This is more than a trip, it's a milestone. And if trekking Nepal has ever been on your bucket list, I would love for you to join us. Spots are limited, and you can learn more on our website at 52hikechallenge.com. Click on the Events and Trips tab, and then Adventure Trips with 52 to learn more. Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, episode 16 of series 4. This season is all about hiking basics, and it is my goal to share with you everything you need to consider when it comes to hiking and being outdoors. This is a great episode for people who are new to hiking because we're going to talk all about leaving no trace and recreating responsibly. My name is Carla Amador. I am the founder of the 52 Hike Challenge. We help people get outdoors once a week for a year in order to gain the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. And I am so excited about today's episode. So I'm going to first talk a little bit about Leave No Trace. And what's really exciting is that next month, starting September 1st, we have a Earth series that we are doing as a cohort. And we are partnering with Leave No Trace to bring people together to commit to doing not only the 52 hikes, but doing good when they are going outdoors. That includes things like picking up trash, trail maintenance projects, and it's all about giving back to the trails that we love. In addition, we donate $5 from every challenge to Leave No Trace, and we're really grateful because we have partnered with Deuter, who has also given us some dirt bags, which allow you to take these bags on the trail with you to pick up trash. For purposes of the episode, let's get started. I will put the link to the challenge in the show notes. First thing is I will quickly share about the principles because Leave No Trace will be on a call with us in September. We're going to open it up to everyone so that you can learn directly from them. So who better to learn from than Leave No Trace directly? We are a proud partner of theirs and have been for over a decade. Let's get into it. When it comes to being outside and recreating responsibly, there are some things and guidelines that Leave No Trace has created so that we can all do our part to be responsible outdoor enthusiasts. So the first thing you can do, and we've talked a lot about this in previous episodes, is to plan ahead and prepare, okay? So that includes know before you go, checking the weather, checking regulations, checking trail conditions so that you're ready ahead of time and you don't show up and then you're in trouble because the weather was not ideal or maybe the trail is closed, things of that sort. So this will help you to be prepared and to not get into trouble when you're out on the trails, okay? Preparing ahead of time includes things like knowing how much water to bring, how many snacks to bring. Are you bringing your lunch? Making sure you have your 10 essentials, making sure you've read up on the trail, making sure you understand what the terrain is going to look like. Sometimes there are trails out there that you're going to need permits for. For example, I'm getting ready to take off for a wonderful trip here, and I'm going to a bunch of national parks. So that entailed me going online and checking if I needed to book reservations for entry times. And a lot of the parks I'm going to had an entry system, but no longer do. So if I would have needed an entry pass, then I would need enough time to prepare, plan, apply, etc. But that also includes trails. Sometimes trails require you to get permits ahead of time, and you would only know that if you do your due diligence ahead of time. The other thing that's really great about planning ahead and preparing is things like going online and looking up the trails and looking up recent reviews on the trail and any other considerations. So I talked about this in the last episode. I got back from a training trip recently, and there was one hike we did where it's not heavily used. So the last trail report was from months ago. So I knew that this trail was not going to be as heavily used as the other trails that we had been on. So that kind of helped me to prepare myself for, okay, we're going to be a little more in the backcountry, making sure that I had my GPS unit and all of that. Again, we've already talked a lot about checking the weather beforehand. That will allow you to prepare for bringing the right clothing, the right gear, a cover for your backpack or your pack. It also will help you to understand closures, trail closures. For example, when I lived in California, in Orange County, when there was rain, the trails were closed for up to 48 hours at the time, I believe. So that is going to really help you to not get to the trailhead and then be like, oh no, the trail's closed, drive hours, that kind of a thing. The more prepared you are, the better. Another note on this, because I'm going to go into a place that is bear country, I know that I need to bring my bear spray, right? Things that will also be important is to know what the flora and fauna is that you're going to come across, and that will help you to prepare with the right items that you need to think about. That will help you to prepare to figure out what kind of animals you might come across, and then you can research how to deal with each scenario. I always recommend talking to rangers or going on the websites of parks and looking at their advice on how to deal with that specific animal. So that's principle number one. Principle number two is traveling and camping on durable surfaces. Now, this series is all about hiking, so we're not going to really get into camping today, but basically you want to be on the maintained trails that are there. Try to avoid cutting switchbacks or using game trails or using what's called social trails, and those are trails that have been created but are not official. One of the best ways to figure out if it's an official trail or not is to look up sanctioned maps by the parks, looking at trails on all trails that allow the land managers to be involved and confirm if a trail is sanctioned or not. You want to try to avoid things like cutting trails or taking social trails because that causes more erosion. It leaves a bad example for others. Also, you want to know what to do when it comes to things like when it's raining. One of the Leave No Trace things they like recommending is when it rains that you actually go through the middle of the trail. Camping on durable surfaces is using campsites that have already been created, not creating your own, not putting your tent in the middle of a meadow, that kind of a thing. So there's a lot more to learn, and I will let you do your research on that or learn more from Leave No Trace on September 1st when they come to speak to our group. I will actually add a link to that so you can register for that talk. Another thing, and this is principle number 3, is disposing of waste properly. Now, please know that if you have a puppy and a dog, please pick up after your dog with your trash bags and take it with you. There are so many different methods of doing that. You can put it in a bottle, put it in your pack so it doesn't smell. The doggy can pack it away as well, double bag it, that kind of a thing, because I think one of the biggest frustrations as a hiker is when you're on a beautiful trail and then you're hiking along and then there's trash everywhere, and a lot of it is animal waste. Another thing is, depending on the location you're in, you also want to make sure that you are mindful of others when hiking with your pets. That includes, are dogs allowed to be off leash, that kind of a thing. And be mindful of others, because some people are scared of animals. Maybe you're okay with the dog being off leash, but someone else may not be. But getting back to this principle, picking up trash when you see trash on the trail is such a great thing to do, but also do not leave trash when you are out hiking. Apple cores, that kind of a thing that is biodegradable, because it ends up looking like trash and then it makes people think, hey, I can just dump my food here. Plus, you're also introducing things to the environment that are normally not there, which could create things like critters coming out and trying to eat those things. And that's a whole other subject around animals and them coming around humans, and then it creates a bunch of problems. Please remember to always take your trash with you, leave it better than you found it, pick up some trash, join the Earth series. Let's leave the trails better than we found them. Okay, so principle number 4 is leave what you find. So that includes if you find rocks, plants, artifacts, all of that kind of a thing, make sure to leave that where you found it. And there's a really cute quote, take only pictures, leave with all the memories, take pictures, be present with what is. You can journal, you can paint, you can sketch. That's a great way to remember what your experience was. Because if we all started taking all the rocks, and that wouldn't allow for people to eventually have the rocks, right? If we all took shells from the ocean, there wouldn't be any more shells for people to enjoy. So leave it alone. That includes animals. Leave the animals alone. We're going to get into that. But principle number 5 is minimizing campfire impacts. First off, you need to double check if fires are allowed, even stoves, with so many wildfires happening right now. As a matter of fact, there is a wildfire happening very close to my house. I would say 15, 20 miles away. And there's been so many wildfires everywhere. We need to do our part to minimize our impact or the potential for us to create some sort of situation that would create a wildfire. So you'll need to double check if stoves are allowed. If you are going to have a fire, make sure it's permitted. Keep it small, keep it contained, and also make sure it's dead out before you leave it unattended. Check with the local authorities or the park ranger to ensure that you can actually have a fire. Principle number 6 is respect wildlife. Leave them alone. But really the biggest thing is to watch them from afar and never feed wildlife. It just creates so many impacts and issues, from chipmunks or squirrels coming up and getting too used to people, or marmots coming up to your packs. I've heard of marmots chewing through people's packs who left it down, or getting into your food. Other things, you hear about all these situations in parks where people are getting injured by animals, but usually the animal isn't just going after a human. It's usually been provoked, or humans are way too close to the wildlife. So there's a rule of thumb, which I'm going to actually quickly share with you, but it's this rule that's come up that if you can cover an animal by sticking your thumb out and looking through the thumb, then you're far enough. If you can't cover it with your thumb, okay, then you're too close. I think that's a great rule of thumb. View animals from afar. Understand what to do in case of an encounter. That's really important. But for the most part, in all my years of hiking, yes, I've come across bears. Yes, I've come across snakes. I've come across lots of animals, coyotes, very close proximity with a couple of them. The biggest thing is be respectful, of course, know what to do. And most of the time, they don't want anything to do with us as long as we're not provoking them. Principle number 7 is be considerate of others. Keep your noise down, yield to others on the trail. Hikers yield to equestrians. and bikers are supposed to yield to hikers. The uphill hiker has the right of way because it's a lot more exertion than someone coming downhill. So knowing those kinds of things can make such a big difference. I'll usually pull over to the side if I feel like I'm hiking slower than someone or I feel like they need to go. I usually will just out of courtesy do that. It doesn't take a lot to be mindful of, hey, let me just step aside and let this person go. I can clearly see they're going fast. Being kind. If you see someone that needs help, asking them, as long as you're not putting yourself in a situation that's going to backfire on you. I've had many times where I've helped someone with injuries or I've given them extra food or electrolytes or snacks because I could see that they're struggling. It also includes looking out for others. If you see someone that might not have the tools, maybe saying to them, hey, I was noticing that you don't have X, Y, and Z. This trail is really technical. You might actually want to reconsider. I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this with you. I think that for the most part, if you come with that kind of concern and empathy and kindness, it's not really going to backfire. There's been times where I've seen a snake in front of me and I said, hey, there's a snake up front, just kind of giving you a heads up. Yeah, it's really important to also let people be on the trails. A lot of times people are out hiking with their music and it's like, hey, people are coming out here to get away from the noise. If you want to listen to music, please put headphones on. But not everyone wants to hear your music. And also it disturbs the wildlife. That's kind of the big gist of the 7 principles. There is also a website called Recreate Responsibly. I will add that to the links as well. Please join us on that call that we're going to have. And the Earth series also includes a bunch of things that you will checklist off of your list of things to do that include things like taking the Leave No Trace course. It's free. You get a certificate at the end, and it helps you to be a better trail steward. One of the things I like to teach is to learn to be in a reciprocity relationship with land and earth and the outdoors. And that includes not just using, but giving back. It's a connection. Earth is a living thing. And by doing this, I feel like we are all becoming more involved and loving and caring of the earth. That really gives us so much. For the last, I think I've been now apprenticing with a earth guardian, an amazing teacher for the last 2-3 years. And one of the things we're mainly working with is that we want people to love the earth and to do their part to care for earth. And I hope that through this program, through 52 Hikes, through the Earth series, we are doing that. We're getting more people to be educated, to learn more, and then teach each other, because that's the best way to create change and to help one another, is to teach each other, not talk bad to each other or scold or shame, but rather really make this about learning. The more we teach each other, I think the better we are. Let's talk a little bit about seeing graffiti out there. Of course, it really impacts the land and the spaces. It's really hard to remove graffiti. It's really hard to remove once you've scratched your name into a tree. It's going to be there for a long time. And we really want to think about, this is land that our children and their children are going to come visit. And so when we leave that, we're defacing it. So just a thought on that. Another thing is rock cairns. They're really considered like not something we should be doing. So every time you leave those rock cairns and you think, oh, I'm leaving something beautiful behind, can be confusing for people. Other things you might want to consider are going earlier to trails, because when it's the most popular times of the day, you're not going to have as much time to really enjoy peaceful hikes on your own. Another thing to think about is your carbon footprint when you're getting out to the trails. So things that can be helpful is carpooling. Maybe you take public transport. Maybe you bike to the trailhead. Think through, every time I'm going on trail, there's a carbon footprint to that. So how can you minimize that? And that could also include giving back, whether you're picking up litter. There's a couple things here that I wanted to finish with, and that is knowing backcountry hygiene. And I always talk about the Kula cloth, which is another great thing. We have our own. We have our 52 hike challenge one. I'll add it to the show notes. I like bringing a sack, and I have a trowel in there. I have toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and wipes in there. Trash bags, I usually use a Ziploc bag so that I can seal it. I do not leave anything behind. No toilet paper. I do not bury it. I pack it out and I dump the trash bag when I get home. Also, women who have periods on the trail, packing all of that out is really gonna be helpful so that we can have less trash on the trails. But yeah, it's okay to hike when you have your period. You just have to plan ahead, right? Make sure to bring what you need to change out whatever you're bringing with you. Make sure you have all the essentials for that. A last kind of thought on hiking with kids. We don't really talk a ton about hiking with kids, although we do have a challenge for families and kids. Our kids series, which is super fun, has 52 different adventures to do with your kid, including a little ebook with those 52 adventures. It's super cute. But hiking with kids is a whole subject in itself, but it's possible to do it. I think with now social media being so much more prominent, people getting out there and not feeling like I can't get out and hike because I have a little one. Most people strap them on with a kids carrier pack and they still get outside, and kids need to be out. So there's lots of ways to make it fun. I've heard things like, hey, there's a treat at the end, picking trails that are more kid-friendly and accessible, easier hikes under a mile, and making it more about enjoying being outside. As a part of our adaptive program, we also allow you to consider being out in nature for 30 to 45 minutes would count as a substitution for a hike. So if you have kids and you want to do the challenge, that works because kids like to play and sometimes they're tired, so you might not get as much time outside. But I think at the end of it, making it an adventure for them and learning ways to motivate them. And there are a lot of resources out there to help you in your journey. Having kids doesn't mean you have to stop doing the things you love. Bring them along. It's such a great way to get their energy out. And I've really enjoyed hiking with my son when he was younger, and even now as an adult. It's been a really wonderful way to bond and experience something together. So that is it for this episode. We have a couple more episodes left before this series is complete. So I want to thank you for being in this journey with me and listening, and have a beautiful week. And I hope to see you guys join us for the Earth series. Ciao.